what changed for me was realizing and accepting that, like deeply accepting that my needs deserve to be met. Because it was like always the story of somebody else has these needs. And I don't know why the narrative for me was always, well, that's more important.
Yeah.
And especially if me imposing a boundary or me not living up to someone else's expectation was going to disappoint them, then that made that even harder. But the biggest thing was just accepting that my boundaries deserve to be met. They deserve to be seen.
Hello, Melissa Crook here at the Field Podcast. So glad to be here with you today. I've got a friend with me where I love these connections I'm able to make through via here we go, via my friends at Podmatch. And Jess Vanrose is one of those people, and I got the great honor of being a guest on her podcast last year in 2025. And I knew right away I wanted to bring her over to my side as well. And we've flipped sides and flipped the mic and have her as a guest. You're going to gain so much from her today. One, go follow her podcast, Life After Trauma podcast. It's tons of great resources there. Take a listen to that. But she has a story like so many of us where she took her story and what she learned from her story, and she became a resource. And she became a woman who shares others' stories and helps them find their resources. Those are the people that light me up. Those are the people that are like, if we can all just do that piece and part in our story, in our lives, and we can make a difference. We really can make changes. We really can find the support and give the support that is needed out there for people, because we all have a story that's going to resonate with someone. So Jess, welcome to the Field Podcast.
Thank you.
I'm so glad to have you. You describe yourself as thoughtful, present, intuitive, compassionate. Those are all things that really, really describe you and align with who you are and really align with the work you're doing now. Talk to me, because you've had a journey, and we'll get a chance to kind of unfold your story as we go today, both in the past and presently. Talk to me about your self-care practices, what those have meant to you, and when you realized you needed
them. Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Melissa, for having me here. It is a joy to be here, and I'm really excited for this conversation. It's a little odd being on this side of the conversation. This is my first time as a guest.
Oh, well, I'm so excited that I got to be a person.
Control.
I know. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have fun today.
Yes, we will. And thank you so much for having me on here.
Absolutely.
So for me, self-care, it started by realizing that prioritizing self-care has been about learning to stop abandoning myself. And I feel like we're in so many situations in life, scenarios where we're asked so much, asked for so much. And it's really easy, at least it was so easy for me, to just dismiss my own needs and focus on what can I do for somebody else, which it's not a flaw. It's a good thing, but eventually there comes a time where you have to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
So right now, I mentioned before that things have kind of shifted for me a little bit recently, where I just got a pretty heavy health diagnosis, and I've been a little bit forced into having to prioritize that self-care.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's right now for me, it's looking like listening to my body, constantly checking in with, what do I need right now? Like, every single day for me is different.
Mm.
And it's just, I feel like the lesson in it is that I'm just constantly in communication with my body and what do I need, and not allowing the guilt to come into play, where like I get the answer and sometimes I'm like, well, but that's not realistic. I can't do that. It's, no, you have to.
Yeah.
I have to listen to it.
Yeah.
So it's not easy, but there's definitely a learning curve. And yeah, I think as long as you can listen to yourself, your body, and trust what it's telling you, that's the biggest part for me, I think.
Yeah. That trusting what it's telling you, because I think we are taught, especially as little girls and women, to not trust that we need, that's going to lead us astray. And we are taught to abandon ourselves for the good of others rather than, I literally just released an episode on this a couple of days ago of like, here's the funny thing, guys. It's actually more efficient for us to take care of ourselves, because when we are well resourced, when we are rested, when we are listening to those cues and tending to them, we're more effective, we're more present, we actually get more done because we in a shorter amount of time, because we have the energy to do so. Mm-hmm. And so it's really counterintuitive, but we carry these voices and these narratives with us that have told us differently, and having to unlearn that and relearn what's actually going to serve us and actually going to serve everybody in our sphere as well.
Absolutely. And I have to add on to that the times where I have still pushed through in the name of productivity, mm-hmm. I feel like 90% of the time I have to go back and redo it anyway because I wasn't in the right place when I did it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we're not happy with that. So it's like, so just prioritize yourself from the get-go. You're going to be happier with how you show up. You're going to be happier with the results of anything you engage with and how people are able to experience you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true. But not the narrative we're taught. So we really have to, unlearn and relearn on that. I have to imagine that healthy boundaries are especially in the season you're in, but you've had to learn those from past experience as well. That understanding of who and what and where you give your time and who you allow in your sphere and what's healthy for you physically, mentally, emotionally. So talk to me about your boundaries journey.
Yeah. So what changed for me was realizing and accepting that, like deeply accepting that my needs deserve to be met. Because it was like always the story of somebody else has these needs. And I don't know why the narrative for me was always, well, that's more important.
Yeah.
And especially if me imposing a boundary or me not living up to someone else's expectation was going to disappoint them, then that made that even harder. Mm-hmm. But the biggest thing was just accepting that my boundaries deserve to be met. They deserve to be seen. And you're absolutely right. It has been a journey, especially recently, mm-hmm. of really having to decide what people, what things I give my time to mm-hmm. now, especially because of my energies, my energy level. Yeah. So it has been an interesting journey, that's for sure. I was just thinking earlier today about how I feel like I'm kind of doing a little bit of a mental audit right now, where it's like, who are the people that I feel like I show up for in a meaningful way but don't really reciprocate that.
Mm.
And who are the people who do reciprocate that? And those are the relationships that I want to nurture in 2026.
Yeah. And I think when things happen to us where our energy is taxed and that mental audit, I love that. My message here is like, don't wait till you're taxed to do the audit. And also when this happens, it forces you to do that. But it also is like, okay, I need to step back here and be very mindful of where my energy goes and not giving it away to places and spaces that don't value me, that don't value my time, that don't value my resources, maybe not intentionally, but that's just not how that relationship has been experienced. So I love that audit piece of stopping and pausing, like, wait a minute, because and it comes back to knowing our value. And we'll get into this when we talk about the embracing layers, but we prioritize what we value. We set aside time and space for what we value, and that has to start with us, because we will not prioritize it ourselves if we don't value ourselves. So that means surrounding ourselves with people and spaces that value us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say that an added piece to it, it's not necessarily just like specific people that maybe aren't meeting me at the same level, but even if they are, it could mean like, I don't have the energy right now to be meeting people one-on-one. So I'm only doing group things where I know that I can do one event and I can see a bunch of people at once.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, I made this decision last year where, as I was changing how I was making my offerings and where I was putting my energy, I had to make some decisions in the community about the different groups I was a part of. I'm like, I can't be a part of all of them. So I need to take a careful look and see where am I gaining the most here in terms of how it's supporting me, how it's helping me, and not just showing up in spaces for the sake of showing up in spaces, because not that it might not be fun, but I will spread myself too thin,
Exactly.
So just not spreading yourself too thin. Yeah, absolutely. All right. This next one, you know a lot about, and you're actually going to be offering some resources later this year in this realm. But it's such an important piece of this conversation is that mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health connection. It's all connected. It all impacts each other. But we have grown up in environments where that's not necessarily talked about in that way. It's treated as these one-offs. And at some point, so many of us realize, hold on a minute here. This is all connected. If I don't tend to these pieces on my mental and emotional health, I'm going to feel it physically. If I don't tend to my physical health, I'm going to feel it mentally and emotionally. It all wraps up. This is an area you know a lot about. Talk to me about your experience in this area and when you realized for you, oh, hold on a minute here. These are all connected. We got to talk about this. We've got to have resources for this. This needs to be part of the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I know now is that emotional health is not about fixing every feeling. Before, that's always, I felt like if something came up, I had to deal with it immediately.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's about saying, I see you and I'll come back to you when I have capacity. I like to say that regulation is better than resolution. Because sometimes you just don't have the capacity in that moment to deal with it.
Yeah.
Maybe you're at work and something comes up. Like, you can't dig deep into it there.
Yeah.
So it is okay to say to that feeling, I see you and I will come back to you. Like, absolutely acknowledge it and go back to it when you feel the safety to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like the holistic piece of it and how everything ties together, I think, I don't think I can pinpoint exactly when it was for me, but you are absolutely right that it affects everything. I know that if I'm not regularly moving my body, my emotional health is declining.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and and if I'm in a state of a lower emotional mood, I know that if I can get myself to just move my body even a little bit, even if it
Hmm.
means just like going for a walk,
Hmm.
I will feel a little bit better. And it's just slowly climbing out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's such a good point of just the recognition because yeah, life is happening. Like you might be in the middle of your day at work. You can't just drop everything, but you can stop and do some breathing exercises for a couple of minutes and just kind of, hey, I'm here. I see we're safe now, in this space to do our work, but we're not safe we can't pinpoint and dive in. But I hear you. And yeah, I think it's just making sure that then you earmark that time when you do have the capacity for it. And I also think it's, so important that we remember that we don't have to solve everything in order to process and allow it to move through. There are going to be all kinds of things that come up for us, different triggers that happen. And I don't have to sit there and dissect every single one to its core point in order to be like, I feel you. I understand that you're there. Let's get this moved through. Now, I mean, of course, there's times you can. Absolutely. You can write those things down and journaling can really help you kind of work through that. But also just giving it the space and the place to breathe and knowing that, but I love that you made that point of like, that doesn't mean I'm not listening to you. I just can't drop everything right now. We're in a staff meeting. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Because, well, at the beginning of my journey, that's what it felt like to me, was because I was so afraid of like suppressing emotion.
Yeah.
Because that's what I had been doing the whole time.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I don't want to suppress this, but how do I deal with it right now? Like, I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that has been the big lesson for me, is regulation is better than resolution. Like occasionally, right?
Right.
Like it has to be in the right moment.
Yeah.
And like more practically, what I do in the morning is I do like to journal, but I like a more flexible approach. So every morning I'll sit down with my bullet journal and I'm planning out my day and looking to see what's coming up. And I do an emotional check-in, like what feelings am I sitting with this morning? And then I'll give it a second and see, like, does something feel like it needs to come out? And if there's nothing, if there's no heavy feeling, I move on. I carry on with my day. But I sit with it for a second to see, like, is there something that's there that needs to be processed? And then I'll just take the time to write about it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's such a good approach. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right. Showing up for ourselves and other women in living unapologetically. For me, the work that you do is really a byproduct of that. You had to learn to do that for yourself. And then the byproduct is this work you do on the podcast, the work you're going to be doing in the future. In the past, you've done some coaching, found different ways to do this. When did you realize that that was a road you wanted to go down? Is the first question. And then also too, something that I struggled with for years was I was a chronic, I'm sorrier, like chronic. And it took me like a year and a half of a really, really disciplined practice where my therapist and my husband kind of partnered with each other to help me break that habit of not apologizing for everything. So there's kind of a two-pronged thing here. We have to learn that, also, and then also too, once we learn that, it's like, oh, wait a minute. I can help others with this. I can show there's more I can do with this. So when did you realize that second part was the part you could really also help other people?
Yeah. So, well, okay. The podcast, I created the podcast because I learned that surviving is not the same as living. And I wanted to help women imagine a life beyond survival mode.
Yeah.
That was like the big thing for me, right? Like I describe it like my life went from black and white to living in full vibrant color. That was the shift for me. And once I experienced that, it was like, I have to share this. Like, there are so many women who I know are just kind of holding it together.
Yeah.
We're just surviving. And that's not life. And there's so much more out there. So I just really wanted to be able to bring women together and offer a safe place for healing and growth and community. And yeah, so that's how the podcast came about.
Okay.
As far as the unapologetic part, oh boy, did that take time.
I know.
Wow. I think it came with confidence. Which the confidence, I think, came from knowing my worth.
Yeah.
So it was like really, it was a journey, definitely. But I think when I kind of tying it back to like accepting that my needs deserve to be met, it was like accepting that I am just as worthy to be here, to take up space, to live a full life, to have a voice as anybody else. And I'm just done saying sorry.
Yeah. I'm not going to
know?
apologize for being a human in this world anymore.
Yeah. I'm not going to shrink myself anymore so that somebody else can feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Why can't I be the one that feels comfortable?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So it takes a lot of time to get used to that feeling, because it was a hard feeling to sit with for a while. Like, I'm not going to say that was fast. I probably sat with the uncomfortable feeling of choosing myself for, I don't know, maybe like a year. Like it was a long time of feeling that way. But the thing is that you don't look at the long span of it. You take it moment by moment.
Yes.
Every single moment, you're like, do I have a choice here? Like, what are my choices here? And how can I choose myself? How can I choose to be this unapologetic, big version of me that deserves to exist?
Yeah. You hit a key word, and it's so funny because I was going to bring this word up, but you did. So I didn't. Choices. There's a shift when we start seeing our life as a series of choices rather than a series of like, well, this is just what my life is, and this is just what I'm stuck with, and this is just my lot in life, or, whatever it is. And it's like, hold on a minute. Yes, there are things that happen to us that we don't have any control over that can do a lot of damage. And also we have a choice in what we do with that and how we respond to it. And if we decide to heal and own our pain and give it room and space to breathe and move through so we can heal and move forward, or we can stay stuck in it. And so that choice piece is so key, I think, transitioning to surviving and thriving.
Yes, it's all about having agency, right?
Yeah.
Like feeling like you have control of your life. And maybe you don't have control of every single aspect, but what are the pieces that you do have control over?
Yeah.
Like there are always choices. You just have to be open to seeing them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Talk to me about how your why and your values have informed this work you do. Because it's really like, for me, observing, it's very acutely a part of all of this. But talk to me about that kind of how that came to be.
Yeah. Well, the way that I see my values and my why is like, it's my guiding light. There is like, my path is not going to look the same as anybody else's path. And so while there's so many like steps out there, so many people out there that you could look to for inspiration, nobody's ever going to have the same journey as me. So I always have to come back to myself to find what's going to fulfill me.
Yeah.
So I feel like that to me is like the most important part of like why I come back to the values and the why and how it guides everything that I do.
Yeah.
Like living in integrity, right? It's knowing what your values are and being able to show up in a way that makes you proud of you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that really goes nicely into living out of your own expectations versus others' expectations. And I think we all kind of have a point where we're like, hold on a minute. Whose narrative is that? Where is that coming from? Is that what I stopped to think about what is that fit for me? Is that in alignment with me? Or do I need to rethink that? And that is so acutely tied to knowing what your values are, knowing what fills your cup, knowing where you feel aligned and where you're supposed to be giving your time, energy, and space. When do you think, did you have a moment in time that you were able to make that shift and like, hold on a minute here. We're not living like this out of everybody else's anymore. It's time to come home to me at 9.
A specific moment. I can't think of a specific moment. I think it was just kind of like an accumulation of healing.
Yeah.
And like being able to, it's almost like levels. Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's how I picture it, is like when I'm on my healing journey, I'm kind of moving from level to level to level. And it was just eventually I hit one of those levels where it was like, okay, no, we've had enough of paying attention to everyone else's expectations. I know that when I live in integrity with myself, that will always feel better to me than meeting an expectation that doesn't align with me.
Yeah.
Even if it disappoints somebody.
Yeah.
Like, as long as I am making the choices that align with me and feel good for me.
Well, and I that's such a good point. I tell women when I'm working with them and talking with them, and I'm like, if you start feeling angsty in any way, that's a clue. Something's out of alignment. Something's shifting. And here's the deal. You can have a set of values and expectations you live by that they're going to shift over time in different seasons as you move through life, as you learn more. Jobs change, relationship statuses change, locations. I mean, there's so many things that feed into it. So you might be rolling along great for a while, but all of a sudden you're feeling angsty again. That just means something shifted and it's time to stop and take a look and get things back in alignment. But yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. I completely agree with that. That's like, I feel like that's kind of a point that I'm at now. Right?
Yeah.
The health diagnosis where everything has had to shift.
Yeah.
My entire life
has
had to shift because of this. And so it's like the place that I'm at right now, I am very much reevaluating everything.
Yeah.
And that was because this was forced on me.
Sure.
But you can choose to do this before.
Right. There's other things that come up. Like, you can have that kind of sense in your gut or that feeling of like, I kind of put it this simple graphic way. I'm like, if you're looking at your calendar each day and you want to throw up, that's an indication that things are out of alignment, that you need to, make some shifts.
And I can feel that.
Exactly. Well, and here's a sad but true thing. So I was speaking at an event last summer, and it was a Better Business Bureau event, a women's conference in our region. And when I said that, the collective moan in the room, I was meant to be kind of light and funny. And it was like, oh, shoot. Most of the room feels this way, which is okay. Here, buckle up. Here we go. I'm going to give you some things to think about.
Yeah.
So that you can take that apart because you don't have to live like that.
Exactly. I was thinking about it earlier today. I was like, literally, the entire world has expectations of you.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, if you think about the entire world, if you really wanted to list all the expectations of you, you would drown in them.
Yeah.
It's completely unsustainable. Like, you can't live like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It will take you out. It will take you out. And you're not meant to live like that. But I think it's going back to that choice piece and seeing your life as a series of choices and knowing that you get to choose. And that includes choosing you. Yeah. So good. All right. Embracing our layers is something I talk about a lot. The layers journey, that ability to look at our lives and the things we've experienced that have happened to us. Some we can control, some we can't. And being able to accept them. We don't have to love all of the layers, but I believe we've got to come to an acknowledgement point where we take away the judgment and are able to look at it through a lens of curiosity instead. Like, yeah, that really sucked. And also, I was able to move forward, or I can make decisions to heal, and these different kinds of things. Talk to me about your layers journey, because for me, what I have learned is that is a key part in being able to answer all these other questions we talked about today. Is starting when I work with people, when I speak, when I work with people one-on-one in my online course, we actually start here with the layers and move from there, because I'm like, we got to start at ground zero and get you thinking about that so that you know your value. You can embrace it and look at your life with the lens of curiosity rather than judgment. So you're able to more openly and honestly and authentically answer and address these other points. Talk to me about your layers journey and what you've learned about yourself through it.
Yeah. So I think learning, like accepting my layers, meant finding the beauty in my contradictions
Oh,
and my complexity,
yeah.
and allowing myself to simply be. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like for me, I was always in a state of almost self-monitoring. Like, there's self-awareness, but
Mm-hmm.
then there's self-monitoring, where you're taking it to another level, and you're like, you're taking the awareness piece and almost turning it into a self-judgment.
Yeah. And that's kind
And
of sneaky, because I'm very self-aware to your
yeah,
detriment, because the self-monitoring,
exactly.
that's good. I'm writing that down. That's really good, because I think there's a real thin line there.
There is, absolutely. And so I would always say, like, I'm really self-aware, which,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I am, but I think for a while it definitely crossed over into more self-monitoring, where
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I needed to be a specific way in specific situations. And for me, learning to embrace my layers is about just letting myself be. Like, I can just live. It sounds simple, but I mean, it was profound.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it sounds simple as a concept, but when you crawl into our brains and see all that's going on inside there and all these inner battles that we've got going on with ourselves, yeah, I mean, I think it's just that acceptance that this is where I am today. I have a similar practice to what you talked about, where each day, I usually try to do it early. Sometimes it's later in the day, depending on my day, but I will journal, but I'm tracking all the different emotions that are coming up, and I'm checking in with myself, and I'm not judging or putting a morality on them. And I think it's that self-monitoring piece I do not believe in. And people that have listened to me at all, like, oh no, here she goes again. I am adamantly opposed to the idea that there are negative and positive emotions. Emotions are clues. That's it. Some are more difficult. Some are more joyful and easier, but I don't, that whole negative positive thing just takes us down the wrong road, because negative automatically sends a message. Oh, that's bad. We shouldn't deal with that. We need to stuff that away. That's not appropriate. And it doesn't leave room for, and that's where you get into toxic positivity and forced gratitude and all these other things. So I think that self-awareness versus self-monitoring, I love that language. It's like, am I crossing over here? Am I starting to moralize these things rather than just meeting them where they are at the face value of that's my experience today. And there's a reason that this came up and I'll allow it to move through and be.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I'm so glad you mentioned the forced gratitude and the toxic positivity. I haven't struggled with toxic positivity for a while, but the forced gratitude, that was a big one for me. And that like even up until recently, like, I mean, I'm talking like a month or two ago.
Yeah.
I had the 5-minute journal, not at all hating on the 5-minute journal. It changed my life.
Sure.
It did when I needed it. It absolutely did. But there was a time where it stopped like being super helpful for me.
Yeah.
And it just became, it kind of felt like a chore every day where I was trying to find something to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And now I've switched to a format where I have a flexible journal. So I bullet journal now instead. And if there's a day where I'm like, you know, I really need to have some gratitude. Like you can feel those times where it's like, you know, I'm feeling a little down and I feel like maybe I don't have a lot of positive things in my life, but you know that that's not true.
Yeah.
Like that is a moment where you can be like, okay, let me just try and list a few things. And that actually would be a helpful practice.
Yeah.
But if you're forcing yourself to find something to be grateful for every single day just because it's been prescribed.
Yes.
Like that's not really helpful.
No.
I feel like it's permission over prescription.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. And that because there's a guilt that comes with, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm not grateful. What's wrong with me? I'm so blah, blah, blah. No, that's not helpful. And that's why I'm so insistent on, listen, list all these emotions, leave room for the nuance. Be grateful for the fact that you can name those things. That can be your gratitude if you feel like you've got to have something to hang on to. What I've done to really help shift the language for me, because it really triggers me when people start talking about gratitude journals and don't talk about the whole package of everything. It's very triggering for me. I've got multiple episodes and conversations on weaponized gratitude because it was a big part of my life and something I had to really heal from and move forward from. And I see it happening around us so much, especially as women. But what I started doing, and that my therapist helped me with this, she's like, just list your wins every day. Every day's got some kind of win. It might be simply that you were able to wake up and enjoy your coffee and you didn't have any fits of anxiety that day. I mean, I'm just throwing out an example. Find those little wins each day. Name a win. And that really helped me, not because I was like, I would get to a point of like, yes, this is where I wanted to get to. Okay, what's next? And I wouldn't stop for a moment and be like, oh, that was really a cool thing I did there. And I'm going to sit in this moment and really recognize the win that it was. Instead of just moving forward to the next thing. But yeah, I thank you so much. I know I went off on a tangent there, but I think it's so important that we're able to differentiate, because when you are able to differentiate, you actually do feel authentic gratitude. It's not forced. It's not guilt driven. It really comes from the core of you because you've made room and space and you're not stuffing other things to try to force the gratitude.
Yes. And that self-celebration piece though is huge. Like at least I was always taught that like, okay, if you do something great, it's like, okay, cool, pat on the back, move along.
Yeah. Like, don't brag.
And so, no, don't brag. Again, this comes back to shrinking yourself.
Yes.
Do you know how many times I have had something where it was a big accomplishment and I didn't tell anybody because I was like, well, I don't want to come across like I'm bragging.
Exactly.
I don't want anybody to like see me in a specific way that's negative. Like, so I just wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
And no, like learn to celebrate yourself.
Yeah.
deserve that and you are worth that.
Exactly. It's that, it goes back to that, not shrinking. I get to take up space too. I get to celebrate my wins. We can be, I call it humble confidence. You can be both celebrate your wins and know that you always have more to learn. There's always opportunities for growth. Both are possible. Both are true. Oh, thank you so much for that. That was so good. Thank you for going on that ride with me. But because it's just, I think it's just such an important, it goes so much into our ability to process all of our emotions, not feel bad about them, embrace our layers. It's all interconnected, having a healthy mindset around how we approach it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay. In this journey that I call finding empowerment, embracing layers, which is a journey you're totally on, and you're even in the midst of the challenge, you still are embracing it. You're moving forward with it. You are living in it. Talk to me about how your ability to do that has not only impacted your relationship with yourself, but also your relationship with others.
Oh, Melissa. Oh boy. The relationship with myself, that has been a big piece right now. Specifically like identity stuff.
Yeah.
Getting the kind of diagnosis that I got.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an autoimmune disease. It means that I will be living with it for the rest of my life. It's incurable. And it literally changes my life in every single way. It is challenging every piece of identity right now. And that is hard work. But what I think I would say, and again, I'm saying this from like the really messy middle place of trying to figure this out. But right now, I'm trying to not identify with it. And saying, like, if we're talking specifically, I know the question wasn't about health, but if we're talking specifically about medical, every time it comes up in my mind, I'm trying to say to myself, like, no, that's not who I am. It's what I've been diagnosed with.
Yeah.
And that has been really helpful because maybe now it's an added layer.
Yeah. And it's another thing that you've got to like, this happened. Okay. What am I going to do with it? Yeah.
Exactly. But like, I don't have to let it take over everything.
Yeah.
I still get to be the complex version of me.
It's just a one part of your
layers.
Right. It's one part of your story. It's not the story.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And the diagnosis, I only got it 3 weeks ago. So like I said, this is very new. So this might all change.
Right. We'll check in 6 months from now.
Yeah. But at this point, that's where I'm at with my relationship with myself.
Yeah.
Relationships with others. Like I mentioned before, I do think that it's about the boundaries and really just understanding what relationships I want to nurture. But what I would say is that whenever you are taking the time to understand yourself and show up as your full self, like embracing every aspect of you, you will always show up better in your relationships.
Yeah.
And your relationships will benefit from that. Like, I think that was something that I needed to hear because there were relationships where, again, that shrinking piece, I felt like I needed to make myself smaller. And that has been a big piece of my life because I don't know if you can tell from this episode, but I'm quite loud and I can talk a lot. And I have been told on multiple occasions that I can be a lot.
Me too.
So it became, it became an internal narrative of I need to make myself smaller so that people can accept me, right? So that I can belong. And that is not a true narrative.
Yeah.
The truth is that if you can embrace yourself in all of your layers, then that is your most beautiful and your most authentic version of yourself. And that is the person who everybody deserves to meet and be in relationship with.
And you deserve to be in relationship with people that value that and love that about you and celebrate that with you.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's such an important clue. If in any way there is a relationship that you're in that is making you feel like you've got to shrink yourself, that is a red flag. That is a red flag that is not healthy and something that you need to look at making some choices about, because you never have to do that. Oh, so good. Thank you for that. You also said something so important about the identity piece. I remember when I had known that anxiety was something that I dealt with for years, but when I got the official diagnosis, it's probably in 4 years now, I had to my therapist really helped me with this. And I talk to women a lot about this now. The way you speak about it is so important. It's like, it's not my anxiety. It is the anxiety that I am experiencing. It's just a part of all the pieces of who I am. So instead of my autoimmune disease, I've been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. But that way we speak about it does so many things to our inner thinking. And so being really mindful about that, it's like, it's a part of who I am. It's a new layer to my life that I will learn to navigate, but it is not the whole being of me. But I think it can be so hard when we are dealing with, or people that live with long-term things. I have a guest that'll be on the podcast. Well, by the time this drops, she will have been on the podcast 3 months earlier. Her name's Laura Bratton, and she got a really, really unusual, rare disease when she was 16 that caused her to become blind.
Yeah, I had Laura on my podcast.
Oh my God.
She was so wonderful.
Delightful.
Yeah.
Delightful. So delightful. Check out Laura Bratton on both of our podcasts, guys.
Her story is incredible.
It's incredible. And she did such a good job of talking about holding the nuance of the grief of the everyday things she was missing, and also the joy and the gratitude of being able to experience life in these different ways. But she talked, the importance of, like, I'm not Laura Bratton, the blind person. I am Laura Bratton. I am a woman. I am a therapist. I am a partner. I am a stepmom. I am alive and vibrant. And yes, I experience blindness. And so I think it's also important for us as others observing people to not put a title on them based on this one thing we know about them too. So I think it goes both ways, but it starts with when they hear us talking about ourselves in that way, we kind of unknowingly train people and teach people how to interact with us and how to treat us.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, like, the awareness, I don't know if awareness is the right word. The sharing part has been, I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, as far as, like, in my actual day-to-day life, because I don't want people to treat me like I'm a sick person. Right? Like, my mom, bless her heart, she is the sweetest and most supportive. But after I got the diagnosis, she was treating me like I was very fragile. And, my mom is, like, in her 50s. Normally I carry stuff for her because I'm stronger.
Yeah.
And that's just the nice thing to do.
Yeah.
So but I remember she was at my house and she was like, "Do you need me to carry that for you?" And I'm like, "Mom, I'm still the girl that goes to the gym. I still work out. I still lift weights. Like, I can carry this. I appreciate your concern.
Yeah.
But like, this doesn't change who I am.
Right.
And yeah, so because of that, I've been really cautious about, like, maybe not cautious, but like, oh, just constantly like considering
Sure.
who or how do I share
Yeah.
this?
Just really mindful. I think it makes,
Mindful. Yes,
yeah.
thank you. That was the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mindful of the language and how to explain this. How do I deliver this? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and
exactly.
especially when it's so fresh, because
Yeah.
it takes time. You're still in the absorbing what this all means part of it. I mean, because it's so
Learning
new.
something new every day.
Literally, yeah, literally. Yeah. And so that can be, but yeah, so this was really timely in terms of that conversation. So yeah, those and that's why going back to the beginning, I'm very mindful about introducing guests by their character traits that they come up with themselves, because it's like, that's your foundation. That's who you are. That's what you're grounded in. And that's where your values come out of, and the things you care about, your why, how you choose to show up in the world, all those things. These other pieces and parts, yes, they inform our lives. They obviously impact our lives, but they aren't who we are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you separate that out so clearly,
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate the work that you do in your podcast especially for that reason, because people need this.
Yeah, we do. We are because here's the deal. These labels and titles and roles change over time, sometimes unexpectedly, like you've experienced. So it's so important to be grounded in what's true about who we are, so that we can, and checking in with ourselves periodically, because those will change over time too. There's some things that will always be, like there's some grounded things about us that will always be, but then there's other things that will shift, or other things that will come up. But yeah, that to me, I felt like it was such an important part of my journey in terms of how I identified. I'm like, I'm not the only one that had struggled with this. And I think it's something we really got to talk about, especially in the society we live in. I mean, when you meet somebody, it's like, oh, so what do you do? And I've really tried to flip the script on that. What are you passionate about? What do you care about? What are you engaged in and involved with? And sometimes it kind of takes people aback, but just trying to change that narrative about that conversation is like, who are you as a person? And if you want to fill me in on these other things, great. But I want to know who you are as a person.
Yeah, I also tried shifting that, because you're right. Everybody just asks, like, you go to a party and everyone's like, oh, what do you do?
Yeah.
I try just being like, no, what do you like enjoy doing?
Yeah. How do you,
like,
what do you do in your spare time?
Yeah. And honestly, that's way more interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you really want to hear about my job?
Yeah.
Like, what I do for work?
Yeah. 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 But I mean, I think it's that whole kind of, but it's just that shifting that narrative. Okay. Thank you so much for all of that. So good. All right. We are winding down here. Talk to me about 5 activities that nourish you.
Well, I think the top one to mention is yoga. I love my yoga practice. So helpful.
Yeah.
I would say spending time with loved ones. Music and dancing. Dancing it out. This is little tangent here. This is why I never get my apartment clean, is because I put on a really good playlist, but then I spend the entire allotted cleaning time dancing.
I love that.
Well, I'm like, great, Jess, you just spent an hour dancing.
But I feel so much better.
I would say journaling, being outdoors. I'm not sure how many I'm at now.
Yeah, those are all great. And I think so important. And they touch on different parts of you too. So there's a variety of things there. This will be interesting for this time you're in, but 5 words on how you want to feel the next 6 months.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Vibrant. Yeah, I want my energy to come back to me.
Yeah.
I want to feel grounded,
Mm.
steady,
Mm.
successful,
Mm.
which I think to me means free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Accomplished.
Mm. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
love that. So somebody, I had a guest, Maria Mai, who turned the tables on me one time when I was recording with her, and she's like, success came up. She's like, well, what does it mean to you? And I'm like, ooh, that's a tricky question. I talked to a lot of other people about it, but I had to be, get real honest with myself about what that means. I think it's so important that we have such a grounded understanding of what success is for us versus what the world calls success. And that can be such an important part of our stability and knowing who we are. All right.
Yeah.
Share with people where they can find you and follow you.
Well, so my website is jessicavanrose.com, and everything is on there.
Okay.
Access to the podcast, Life After Trauma. And I will be putting up audio bundles soon, which Melissa hinted at before. So I'm currently creating an audio bundle that's around nervous system regulation and emotional regulation. Just I'm planning to do 5 meditations in the bundle to have a specific core reason for listening to it. The reason why it came to me is because of all of this. And I was like, okay, there needs to be something that I can click on that's when you are just holding it together. Let me listen to that.
Yeah.
So that will be available by the time that this comes out.
Okay, so great. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Okay. Any last thoughts you'd like to leave with our listeners?
Oh, man. I think I feel like the most important lesson I've learned lately is about self-trust and just that you don't have to be a specific way. You don't have to show up a specific way to be adding value to something, or you can just exist. And by just being present, that would be so life-changing for your life and for relationships and everything. And just literally listening to your body and trusting the message that it is sending you.
Yeah. So good. Jessica, thank you so much for being with me. I'm so grateful you could take the time, that we could find this time to connect, that I could share you on my side of the podcast world. All the resources that Jess shared are going to be on our website at embracinglayers.com. Just go to our resources page. Listeners, so much to take from this today, so much wisdom. Thank you so much for listening today. Remember, you are valuable, you are worthy, and you get to choose. Take good care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time here on the Feel Podcast. Hello, and thank you so much for being with us today on this episode of the Feel Podcast. If you would like more information on how you can apply these talking points that I share with our guests in each episode to your own life, really utilize this Feel framework, go to embracinglayers.com, fill out our contact form, and let's set up a free 30-minute consultation to talk about how you can start living your most authentic, organic, healthy, feel-fueled life. Thanks again for being with us today. We'll be back to you soon with another episode here on the Feel Podcast.